Okay, so get this. We're going to look at two different kinds of apocalypses. One is a story of secret wars, of backroom deals, and the complete engineered collapse of a nation. The other, it's about a global catastrophe, a wild theory that the Earth's entire crust can just shift, wiping everything clean. These two stories seem like they have absolutely nothing in common, except, of course, for the one powerful secret hoarding organization that connects them both.
So here's the puzzle we're trying to solve. You've got a political cataclysm on one side, a real, documented, secret plot to overthrow a democratic government. And on the other side, you've got a geophysical cataclysm, this fringe, kind of out there theory that ancient civilizations got wiped out because the planet itself just violently lurched. One is straight up history, the other feels like total sci-fi. But is it?
So, what is the hidden thread here? I mean, what could possibly connect a secret war fought in the jungles of Central America to a crazy theory about the end of the world? Well, the answer is way more surprising than you'd think. All right, let's dive into that first cataclysm, the one that went down in Guatemala. To really get what happened, you gotta rewind to the early 1950s. The Cold War is in full swing, and paranoia is everywhere. So in 1950, Guatemala democratically elects this guy, President Jacobo Arbenz. Now, he wasn't a communist, but he was definitely a reformer. His big thing was a policy called Decree 900, and the whole point was to take unused land and give it back to peasants who had none. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, there was a problem. Most of that land was owned by one single incredibly powerful American company, the United Fruit Company, and you can bet they were not happy about it. And wow, did things escalate fast. Just look at this timeline. In 52, Decree 900 kicks in, threatening United Fruit's bottom line. That same year, the U.S. greenlights the first plan to get rid of Arbenz. When that one stalls, they just create a bigger one the very next year, called Operation PB Success. By June of 1954, CIA-backed forces are invading, and just a couple of weeks later, poof, the democratically elected president is gone. And here's the receipt, literally. This comes straight from declassified documents. This isn't some conspiracy theory, it's the cold, hard, bureaucratic accounting of a coup. $3 million to topple a government. You can even see the line items. $270,000 for psychological warfare, $800,000 for planes. This was not a popular uprising, it was a well-funded project. Okay, so that's a pretty clear-cut case of a man-made catastrophe. Now we're going to switch gears completely to a very different kind of disaster, one that sounds like it was ripped straight out of a sci-fi movie, the theory of a massive planet-altering pole shift. Now, to even begin to understand the fringe theory, we got to start with some real science. Geologists know for a fact that the Earth's magnetic poles have flipped many, many times over the eons. It's a real process called a geomagnetic reversal. Just think of it like north and south literally swapping places. The only problem is, while that swap is happening, our planet's protective magnetic shield gets super, super weak, and that lets in a whole lot of dangerous radiation from space. Then you have an even more radical idea called true polar wander. Now, this isn't just the magnetic field flipping, this is the entire solid crust of the Earth, the ground beneath our feet, slipping and sliding around the molten core. It's kind of like the skin of an orange rotating around the fruit inside. Mainstream science says, yeah, this totally happens, but it's incredibly slow, taking millions and millions of years. But what if it wasn't slow? What if it was fast? Well, that's the core idea behind this fringe theory. See, this book from the 60s, The Adam and Eve Story, by an engineer named Chan Thomas, it proposed a much, much more violent version of this. He argued that every few thousand years, the Earth's crust slips, suddenly, violently, causing 1,000-foot-high tsunamis, winds that would shatter concrete, and a near-total extinction event. It's basically a theory of cyclical global annihilation. I know, it sounds completely nuts, right? The kind of thing you'd find in the weirdest corners of the internet and just dismiss. Which brings us to a really, really important question. Why on earth would a U.S. government intelligence agency classify a book like this? Why would they take a fringe theory about ancient apocalypses, stamp secret all over it, and then hide it from the public for decades? The Central Intelligence Agency. Yep. The very same agency that budgeted $3 million to engineer a political cataclysm in Guatemala was also apparently very interested in a book about a geophysical one. And there it is, That's the connection. The CIA played two completely different roles in our two Cataclysm stories. In Guatemala, they were the instigators. They actively created the disaster. But with this pole shift theory, they were the suppressors. They took information, no matter how weird, and they locked it away. This is an agency that apparently both starts fires and hides books about fire. So what's the fallout from these two very different actions? Well, one led to an explosion of very public violence. The other led to the creation of a very hidden secret. And honestly, both of them left decades of chaos and confusion in their wake. So what happened after Operation BB's success? It wasn't democracy, I can tell you that. The coup plunged Guatemala into a brutal civil war that went on for more than 30 years. Human rights groups estimate that the military regimes that took over killed over 100,000 civilians. That engineered cataclysm had a real and absolutely horrifying human cost. And what was the consequence of classifying the Adam and Eve story? Well, it totally backfired. It had the complete opposite effect of what they probably intended. Instead of burying the theory, the CIA's censorship gave it this incredible power. It became forbidden knowledge. The very act of hiding it made people think, whoa, there must be something dangerously true in there. It became a cult classic, fueling speculation and conspiracy theories for generations. And all of this brings us right to today. Because this history of instigating events on one hand and suppressing information on the other, it's the direct ancestor of the struggles we have right now over what's real, what's fake, and who gets to control the story. And you can see echoes of this stuff everywhere today. I mean, the platforms have changed, right? We've gone from secret radio broadcasts to TikTok algorithms. But the fundamental battle over the narrative, it's exactly the same. When people know that institutions have manipulated or hidden information in the past, it creates this void where all sorts of alternative narratives, whether they're about climate science or political history, can just rush in and take hold. And when you boil it all down, it comes to this. Whether an agency is overthrowing a government and then writing the official story, or classifying a weird book and creating an underground one, that struggle to control the narrative has massive consequences. It shows that controlling information can be every bit as powerful as deploying an army. The CIA's actions in both of these stories, one a violent, real-world intervention, the other a deliberate act of suppression, they shaped history in ways we are still grappling with. And it forces all of us to ask a really fundamental question. When the official version of events is hidden, or twisted, or manipulated, who actually gets to write the truth?